So every year, one of my favorite parts of this conference that we have kept tradition is getting on stage with Will and just going through the challenges in my business, what's been hard for me, what I'm working on, because you guys don't really get to see that or hear about it. And a lot of what I'm working on, I, for many reasons, do not put on social media because I don't want people knowing about it, right? It's top secret, you know? So not only that, but I think you guys also are curious to know how I am as a client, what I suck at, what my bad traits are, right? And also just Will is a wealth of knowledge, so picking his brain is always really fun too. So, you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Not the deep breath.
I'm sorry, I forget to breathe sometimes. It's like
Yeah.
it's a trait of focus. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
All
hard.
together, one big
Distractions.
All right, well,
Am I asking the first question or you?
I kind of want you to set the scene for us. You can dive into questions if you want, but kind of what maybe this year has looked like for you and I working together in, in comparison to other years, you know? Like.
So last year, I sat up here and I spilled the tea on Taeler about some of her leadership style and some of that being a bit of a challenge. And I kind of, even then, we kind of joked about that this was going to take some time to fix. And most of the time when you're in my chair or in her chair for you guys, the first thing becomes like, what's my ROI? That's like the first thing, right? And that was news to me because I don't come from like the business coaching world first. I was just a guy that fixes businesses, and then I was like, man, I really like helping people. And but I realized that really quick with my first couple clients that like they really care about making more money. And I never really thought of myself as somebody that was my job. My job was to make great leaders. It wasn't really to help you make more money. That's your job. And so for Taeler, like it was very squarely, I warned her. I was like, this year is going to be brutal. 2025 is going to be brutal because your rate of revenue growth will directly depend on your rate of leadership growth. And Taeler's obviously been with me long enough to know that I was right. I'm just kidding. I'm not always right. No, but she this year has had a lot of growing pains around the sales team, and she has held on to people too long. She's held on to processes too long. She's defended her team to the nth degree. When I am typically the person that has to say, like almost over-index on telling her team isn't good enough, and her being like, yes, they are, and then us having to talk through why she's not leading them the right way for them to maximize their potential. And you have a runway with talent. If you aren't a good leader for that talent for a long enough period of time, you cannot recover them. You have to fire them. And everyone on Taeler's team is fantastic. So the real gut-wrenching part is like you got a bunch of fantastic team members, but you know that you've effectively given it your best shot, and you still didn't have what it took in that moment, in that season, in that second to coach them up and to be the right leader for them. So there was some turnover and across, I guess, a couple different areas of the business. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing was, traditionally the business has been built around 4P. And you know, we had kind of worked through what it looked like if that wasn't true. Because FCA ultimately is how you're going to find and help the largest number of people. And 4P are the people who are serious. And so if you just start with the people that are serious, then it's an incredibly long game. If you can go and get more people that aren't sure if they're serious yet, and you can help them figure out if this is for them, then you're going to have a greater impact. But to flip the business upside down is pretty scary. So I don't know if that was what you were expecting me to say, but that's how it's been this year. You've conquered the majority of it, and it's shown. Ads are a significantly bigger portion of your revenue. This time last year, ads would have accounted for 10%, and this last month they accounted for 80%. And the beauty of like growing a business is that when you can rely on the ads, then you can really grow the business, which is cool. I don't know. I don't want to say too much.
No, that makes sense. You're not saying too much. I mean, I feel like this year too, it was, me thinking, okay, I'm going to move to Cleveland. This year's going to be great. I'm going to have more work-life balance.
She's really great at that, y'all.
I'm so good at that. So then moved to Cleveland, and I remember that being a great month. You were like, all you needed to do is move to Cleveland and get all these sales, Taylor. I remember that being like the first 48 hours. And I was like, yeah, man, all I needed to do was come to Cleveland. And then I think close to summer, really like April is when things got really hard. And then it was
your first Airbnb tenant scorched the tabletop with a pan.
Oh yeah, that was.
And that was like your intro to short-term rental was.
Yeah. And then
now you can't rent it again until you fix this.
The next person almost burned my house down.
There you go.
Yeah, he messed up the sensor in my oven. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was fun. But I just remember the sales team, we thought we had certain positions totally figured out, and then that was not the case. And then the coaching team, right? That was like the next problem.
Yeah.
So
it just rotated. It was like, sales team's broken. Great, got that solved. Coaching team, oh, that's broken. Got that solved. Sales team again. Okay, got that solved. Oh, now marketing's fatigued. Got it. Now we got to do that again.
Yeah.
And so it's been just every month is like a completely new focal point. And I told her this year was all marketing. She's going to only focus on marketing, and that's not how it went.
You did say that. You said, I can't wait for you to have so much time and innovation. I was like, this is going to be so great. I just woke up earlier and still put the innovation in.
But the moral of the story here is if she would have made decisions faster, then she would have been able to get back to the main focus faster. And because she didn't make the decisions faster, because she didn't want to disappoint commitments that she had made, right? She was doing right by her team, but wrong by her future. And that slowed down the trajectory and slowed down some of the goals that we were trying to accomplish. And I'm not saying that was right or wrong. I'm just telling you perspective of we constantly are reforecasting revenue and reforecasting certain aspects of the business, and we're making all kinds of analytical projections. And for her, it was kind of like, well, we're still sitting with the same sales problem that we had 30 days ago. So until we fix this sales problem, then I'm going to continue to tell you that you're flatlined and you're not going to grow, which is never a fun conversation. But at the same time, you'll probably find this is true with Taylor and you guys. She will guide you to the water, but she's not there to waterboard you. And so you have to drown yourself.
Yep.
Like, you have to be the one that actually does it, because otherwise you won't learn the lesson and you'll repeat the same mistakes. And the same thing happens with, anyways, that's never mind. We won't go there yet.
But no, it was a plot twist of a year. I always think it's not going to be, but that's funny on my side. But yeah, go ahead and dive into a question.
All right, I'm going to kind of ease into it. Who's your favorite client?
I mean, obviously it's Cody. I'm just kidding. I don't have a favorite client. They're all my favorite.
And
all
why?
My favorite children.
Taylor, you're not going to hurt their feelings. Just tell them.
You guys are so funny.
They can hear you.
I will say though, and you guys know this, I really love. My favorite thing is not when somebody wants to share a win. I honestly love when my clients come to me with problems, but it's the way they present them, right? And so it's really hard when problems are consistently overly emotional and just, I guess, catastrophized. Whereas if we just sat, I love when a client thinks and then presents the problem, right? Even if there is emotion, I don't expect anyone to not have emotion. Business is hard. Like, I get emotional and share that with you, right? But I do think that goes from a client that I truly love working with, that is very coachable and moves forward, versus, okay, it's the same mindset sticking point we've talked about over and over and over again, right?
Okay.
And that's really challenging for me. So it's not a favorite. I mean, I know you're joking, but just kind of bringing that up because I've had to learn that with you.
I was going to tell you mine, but okay.
Okay, tell me yours.
I'm just
You would
kidding.
never, ever. Somebody asked me to ask you that.
Yes, it was.
No. I mean, I will say on that funny note, like, there are some people in this room that I have watched you guys over the years. Like, I get snapshots, right? I don't know your day to day. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what struggles you've overcome. But I am seeing the result. And so, like, Casey, you're somebody that I definitely am, like, super proud of, because I've just seen, like, how much growth you've had, and how much introspection you've had, and how much leadership you've grown over time. And that's been super cool. But there's also brand new people that I've never met before that I'm like, wow, you're doing, like, really cool things, and you just need to lean into it, and you need to embrace it. I feel like that is always true. You know, being a parent, you're like, oh, I don't have a favorite kid, but you do. And it changes, right? And it changes because, like, life happens. And so if she were being really, really honest, I'm sure she has a favorite client, but it's probably very, very temporary. It's very, very short-lived, because it's probably you today and you tomorrow and you the next day, because she pours a lot into you guys. And that's how I feel about my clients too. Taeler is sometimes my favorite client. It's, you know, the moon has to be like a certain... No, but she's great. On that same line, I kind of wanted to know...
You wanted to know? Okay.
All parties will remain anonymous.
I'm gonna look at who I don't even know what you're asking, but I'm gonna figure it out.
All right, if you were one of
I'm
us,
sweating.
if you were one of us, what would you be doing to get to where you are now?
One of us peasants.
Oh Jesus.
He didn't ask the question, by the way.
Yeah, I would master the blurry filters on Instagram, and I would get in the DMs. Am I, like, starting my business over again, or just?
Yeah, like you're trying to get, you know, you're trying to kind of start from scratch.
Okay.
You're in 4%.
Oh, I'm in 4%.
No, you're in it.
Whoever asked.
You're starting from scratch. I'm the question master.
I'm the question master. Okay.
I'm sure whoever asked that knows. Yeah, they probably did.
All right. Knowing what I know now, going back, and it being 2025 or 2026, if you want to say that. Number one, I would make sure that I am very clear on the problems that I can solve, or the main problem, like the one thing that I'm really good at, right? Once I knew that problem, I would say, how can I talk to multiple people every day just to, like, get conversations going? I don't care if it's the DMs, I don't care if it's my coworkers. So doing that in the beginning is still what I would do today. I would still do that today. What I didn't do in the beginning, that knowing what I know now I would have done, is I would have probably utilized Facebook groups a little bit earlier. I would continue the DMs. I wouldn't ignore that, because transparently, somebody asked me earlier, I think it was Andy, he said, how have you been so successful with your messaging? And I said, I am so good at getting somebody to connect with me fast. And it's not because I have the perfect script. I know how to strip people down to their problems and get them to open up. And that's very much a TV skill, right? Because I had 10 minutes of somebody's time, and I had to get them to trust me when they didn't know me. And so that's why I think ads, after working through kinks, right, have become, I don't want to say easy at all, but easier with the conversion side of things, because organic became very easy, and then ads were really hard for me because I was very frustrated with, you know, just the problems that we had in the kink. So again, I know that sounds so simple, but when I think about as I've scaled, what are the things that I still think about all of the time, like obsessively? If we're working on a new campaign, I'm like, what is the story? What is the pain? It's not just, you know, do you want to grow? DM me X, right? It's the pain I have to hit on, because the market is so much more mature now than it was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And the only way to cut through is to hit somebody at the heart. Like, you have to hit them there. And so to me, that is truly what I would do. I would not focus on systems necessarily. When I say systems, I mean automations. Like, I wouldn't focus on the things that would distract me. And for me, where I see so many coaches get stuck is I look at their social media and I still do not see how they stand out. And I use this example with you guys all the time, but if I were to take a caption from each and every one of you without seeing a photo, I should be able to tell who wrote that based on knowing you. And that is a skill that requires reps. And so something that you really forced me to do this year and last year too was, Taeler, you have to spend more time on innovation. And that was hard for me because I was like, well, I have these clients, I have to deliver. And so something that I've done this year is every single day, I spend the first 2 hours of my day on marketing. Whether it's writing, whether it's emails, whether it's auditing ads, whatever it is, like something that is related to marketing before I open Voxer, before any of that. So forcing myself to do it more has prevented me from feeling like, oh, I'm not creative right now, or I can only do this when I'm creative, because tough shit. There's gonna be problems that pop up, and I don't feel creative 80% of the time because I'm trying to solve problems with the team. And you don't feel like it's a luxury to feel creative. Whether that's growing the business or having a 9-to-5 or having a family or a crying baby or whatever it is, the distractions, right? Like you have to know the problems you solve and how to say that and convey it in a way that tugs at heartstrings. And understanding that sun hats do not make you a business coach. For those of you OGs, you get it.
So if you were to keep doing what you just suggested for 12 months straight, then where would the business be? That new business that you started 12 months ago.
I have no doubt that if I had those habits built, I mean, I think I would easily be at 10K, if not more. Especially if I was charging $400 to $500 a month.
Yeah.
I think further. Because when I did that the first time, we hit our first 6 figures in 7 months, is how fast I grew.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And what do you do? I mean, over a 12-month period, like, you definitely are going to have times where you don't feel motivated. Mm-hmm. You don't feel like the momentum's there.
Yeah.
Or maybe you lose momentum.
Sure.
Wind kind of comes out of your sails. How do you handle that now versus how you used to handle it?
I used to take problems very personally, I would say. It was really hard for me to kind of detach. I mean, I still hyperfixate all the time.
Why do you do that?
I don't know. I was born this way, okay?
Why?
I wish I could tell you why. I don't know. I want to achieve and solve, and like it pisses me off if I can't get something done. But it's also my downfall. You know, we'll talk about that. Talk about my bad traits. But if I get previously, I think I would just work longer. I would try to kind of ignore the problem and either like find a way around it. I don't want to say look for the easy button, but I just would. I worked way too many hours, and I don't think I wasn't efficient. Like I know I wasn't, right? Whereas now, I very much go to data or trends, or I talk something out with you, or I present a problem. Like I'm more of like problem solving mode versus emotional, like, oh, maybe it's not for me, right? Like I just don't take things as personal anymore if there's an issue.
Why do you think that is? I mean, what helped you get to a place where you didn't take it personally?
This is not a cheesy or scripted thing. Like I really do think it was surrounding myself with people that had just been further along than me. Like really, I mean, I hired you out of desperation to make money. Like that's why I originally hired you, because somebody that was.
It's weird because I told you guys in the beginning that's not even what I do.
Yeah, and if you guys are like, how did you find Will? There's somebody in the same space as me that is years beyond me, and I said, I don't want to work with them because I don't think they work with people that are running 7-figure businesses, but they have to know somebody. And that's when I found you, and I was like, I don't know anything about this person, but then.
If you've seen my social media, it's super clear what I do.
Okay, it's not. And like I told them yesterday, I said, 800 followers back then. Like I don't even think you had posted recently. I was very confused.
All my followers are just you guys, so. I mean,
literally, it's so funny. But yeah, I mean, what I learned very quickly, like the first year of us working together, it's so hard I need to really think about this year by year, but that first year was the most eye-opening year for me as a business owner.
That year, did you feel like you were running a business?
When I first hired you? No, I was just making a lot of money, and I was very burnt out. but I wasn't gonna quit. You know me. I will just bang my head against a wall forever. I don't care.
True.
Like I will not quit. And that's just that's a personal trait of mine. So it's hard for me to answer how I overcome challenging moments, because I will bang my head against a wall over and over again. The problem with me is, at what point do I just drill a hole through the damn wall and figure out a way to get through it versus keep banging my head against the wall? Hence Will being like, you need to let that person go. And I'm like, no, they're fine, right? Like I will be okay with those issues for a little too long. But yeah, I think the first year of working with you, and you said it best, I think it might have been the second year at the conference, you were like, I don't recognize who you were 2 years ago in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, we tell the story sometimes, but like, she just kept putting financial numbers on the board. And it was like, cool. Nobody's going to get inspired by that except for your financial planner. And that's it. So you're going to have to think bigger than that, and you're going to have to think deeper than that, because the people in this room, the quality of this room is improving year over year.
Oh my God.
And the reason it's improving is because she's getting more honest about what she actually wants to do. The money helps, because here's the thing. If you don't have a platform, right, the world moves in a commerce way. So it doesn't matter if you have the most novel thing that you've ever thought of. If you don't have money to back it up, then your message is not going to be heard. You can't bank on someone else's distribution to get you to get the platform you need. You have to build it. And so with Taeler, it was like, man, you've got the hustle to make 7 figures, but you don't have the system, you don't have the leadership, you don't have the product, you don't have anything that you need to sustain this for 10 years. And some of you guys might feel that you have already had a career for 10 years and you're now starting this business, or you've been in this business for 10 years. But the problem is like, this stuff goes quicker than you think. First, you're trying to figure out how I pay my bills, and then overnight, you've got enough money to pay your bills, but you don't know how to grow and you're plateaued, and you realize that it's like you that's the issue. If you don't have somebody in your corner that's like challenging the shit out of you to think differently, like that's what I want. I don't want somebody that lets me walk around with stuff in my teeth. Like I want somebody that's like, hey, did you know that you have some spinach in your teeth? You know what I mean? Or like, hey, can you not crinkle that bag? You know, like, or hey, man, I noticed that like you're walking around crooked. Do you need some help? I know some fitness people. But like whatever it is, I mean, you want somebody in your corner that's willing to have the hard conversation with you, even if you're conflict avoidant, even if you're a people pleaser, Sarah, even if you're a fantastic human being, like people need that in their life. Not so much, right? Not so much that they can't receive it, but they need that. And that's ultimately what this has become.
All right, I'm gonna ask you one. Okay, so I'll kind of give you a scenario and you can play off of it. So let's say I have grown the business to a certain level, okay? $250,000, 20, 30K-ish kind of range, right? I'm having a really hard time figuring out what my vision actually is. And the one thing that keeps holding me back is that fear of, what if I scale it and I don't like it? I kind of like where I'm at. I like the lifestyle. I kind of want more, but like, how do I know if enough is enough?
If you just woke up one morning and you had $1 million in your bank account, okay, would you live that day differently?
Yeah.
Would you build a different business? Would you make a different decision? How would your security changing impact your vision and what you want to accomplish? Because I'm telling you that when you chase a number, it feels very empty when you hit it. And so the only thing that you know how to do, because you've trained yourself to do this, I did this for years, y'all. Like, I said I wanted to make this much money, so then I went and hunted it down like a savage animal. And then I got there, and it was empty. And then I get to the next one, and it's empty. And it's the next one, it's like, well, eventually I'm going to get to one of these. I'm going to flip one of these things over. I'm going to get to one of these monetary figures, and it's going to be the changing moment. But listen, like, there's a certain dollar figure where your life doesn't change ever again. I think the number's 20 million. When you get to that point, I don't mean it like that, but like, I just think there's a point where like, it doesn't matter anymore. And so if you have no purpose, then you made your purpose money. and now you're the same enemy that you had in the beginning when you had no money. You're now become that enemy, and you've now become the decision maker that feeds into the problem instead of the solution. So if you're asking yourself the question of, am I content, or am I needing to scale this further, you just have to ask your why. I mean, for me, the reason that I ever built businesses bigger than what was happening was because I realized how unsafe a business of a certain size is. I realized that corporations are incredibly unsafe. I'll take the pilot's example, and if I hurt your feelings, I apologize. There is no stability in that. They're not loyal to you. If they have a massive downturn in the economy, then the pilots get cut. He's young and he's probably got a really stellar record, and so maybe they keep him, but if he was 20 years older, they probably wouldn't. And that's just the savage truth. And I don't know exactly how it works on the back end, but time and time again, you'll see people lose their careers just like that. And everybody thinks corporate job, that's safe, right? Well, a small business, you think that's safe. Like Taeler's size business, you think that's safe. It's safer than your business, right? You're not safe until you have about 20, maybe 30 employees. That's when it starts to really get safe. Because you have enough momentum to where when you suck for an extended period of time, the momentum carries you to the next hump where you've now managed to recover. And you've been able to do it and get back at it. And it's super hard. I experienced that earlier this year where I was in a hump and the momentum, thank God, carried me forward. But it was like, I just want to quit all of this. I just want to give up on all of it because I don't even know why I'm doing this, right? Because I'm not a business coach. But you get into that place, you know, and you really have to dig deep to get out of it.
Kind of along the same lines, but how do you overcome just like limiting beliefs when you're scaling?
Well, I barely graduated high school. One of the first girls I kissed was, she had a dip in her mouth. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it.
Until she spit it in my mouth.
Until things got weird. And we were in a trailer park playing basketball with her brother when I decided to kiss his sister. And Taeler did not know this was going this way, but...
I've not heard this story, honestly.
Do what?
I have not heard this story.
Oh, you haven't heard this story?
I don't think so, no.
Well, it's because I probably don't go around telling it. If you ever get a chance to meet my wife, she's incredible and lovely. I've pretty much done everything in my life better than I ever thought I could possibly do it. I think that to get out of holes that you're in, you have to have something bigger than yourself. That is your why to get out of it. Because if you're all about yourself, then you get into that hole, and eventually you're just going to want to die. And I don't want to be like morbid or stuff, but like I also promised Taeler I was going to be hella real with y'all. Probably more real this year than ever. Yeah. Just because I think like I've also had a really crazy year. Yeah. So I'm also just in a different headspace to talk about it because in the past it was very, I had a lot of NDAs and non-competes when non-competes were a thing. And I couldn't talk about it a whole lot, and I had to keep it kind of close to my chest. I was also being sued multiple times. It's part of it. So now all that's over, and I'm kind of out the other side of it, and my perspective's different. You know, when I was doing it for the money, like that's not a big enough God. And this isn't a religious conversation, sorry, but I'm just saying that if you are your own God, if you don't have anyone in your life that is bigger than you, for you to climb out of that hole, then you won't. And you can live in a hole for a really long time. So you asked how I get out of it. So going from a trailer park, kissing girls with dip in their mouth, to barely graduating high school, to giving up a scholarship to study law. I thought that was like my future. I was going to go to Georgetown and study law. And then I ended up going to the University of Tennessee with Danny. And, I think all through that trajectory, I just was a guy trying to figure it out. I had one side of my family that was like, you need a corporate job because that gives you security. And the other side of my family that was entrepreneurs telling me that, by the way. So it was entrepreneurs telling me to get a corporate job. That's real confusing. And then on the other side, I had A ton of family trauma going on. My family basically hasn't gotten along since I was born, and so I was very, very confused. Didn't really have a whole lot of like self-worth, and I didn't really believe in myself or believe in the value that I could contribute to anyone or anything. So yeah, I spent I think in college, I was super arrogant because I didn't know how to process everything that was going on. So I kind of tried to posture as if I was better than I was. And then after that, I basically started a company out of survival, and I got told no hundreds of times, went door to door, finally broke through after telling a restaurant that if I boosted their business, would they tell their friends? And I didn't even use any of the skills I had. I just hustled and put flyers up and did all kinds of stuff. So I would say this isn't really about my journey, but more to say it's not really about where you start. It's about your belief in where you think you can go. And I think that even when you don't believe, that's when it's so important to have someone else that believes in you, because you won't always believe in yourself. So anyways, that's the one thing I can say is just have something bigger than you that you're focused on. Is that dead battery?
Probably. You can go. We'll pass the mic if we need to. Is it dead now?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Testing it, really testing the waters. What do you got on there?
How
Oh no, it's the deep sigh for me.
You know me too well. What if I just go and twist into a serious question? I mean, how, for example, how big are your biceps? Number of inches?
I would need to ask Chad. He's the expert on that. He keeps tabs year over year.
Yeah, I just know if they look good or if they don't. So.
Chad, what do you think?
They're looking pretty good.
Nope, I'm going to need a guess. In fact, we're going to be polling everyone. If you could just put in a measurement, we'll see who's the closest.
I don't know, 15 inches, maybe 14.
Really?
Jesus.
I'd say they're at least 14.
15.
I'm keeping all sleeves on for the rest of the evening because that is not what I'm going for.
Chad, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been punched in the face by a girl with 15-inch biceps? Oh, you want another one? Okay. All right. So let's see. I want to know last year, what's your biggest business regret?
From this year or ever?
Okay, ever. Convinced.
I have to really think about that.
I know. Hiring the same OBM and VA, that's what you told me so many times.
I know, it's really that. I don't know. I feel like there's two that come to mind, and for different reasons, right? And again, the first one is still letting someone else build my vision for me, right? Because I essentially built my business model identically to my mentors at the time, and that was the direction I was given, and again, this is, I should have known better, but this person, I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this, since this will be a podcast. Maybe it won't be a podcast this year. We'll just keep it in this year. What starts in Dallas stays in Dallas, right? I'm just kidding. But the way that I built it, the answer to all of the coaching was always outsource, coach less, work less, outsource, coach less, work less. And that was so not in alignment with what I wanted. And so that's where my first 7-figure year, I grew my then mastermind to 44 clients. And there was, I don't want to say low touch, but it just was not the way I wanted it to be. And because of it, like you mentioned, the group programs and the toxicity, there were so many toxic people in that program, and it was so cancerous. And it really prevented me from coaching the way I wanted to. And I'm really fortunate that we're past that, because I bring that up because none of that was my mentor's fault. I don't fault this person for anything. I made every choice. But again, I looked around the room, I was making money, and my clients just were not it. Some of them, but not all of them. And then to Nick's point, yes, my other regret, which again would have never known until this would have happened to me, so it's hard to say that, but I wish that I would have gone through an actual interview process to find team members. Is your hand up? I can't tell. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, you can finish what you're saying.
Oh, that's really the only part of it, right? Is like, just because I wasn't, not even the interview process, let's pretend that, because to be honest, I didn't even think I would have known what the hell to do at that point. So forget the interviews. I should have audited the performance of my team more frequently versus having so much trust that I was taken advantage of. That to me was such a catastrophic mistake. And you told me to let that person go for like a year. And I didn't. So there's that.
And I want to be clear, like, I totally could have gotten fired for that. Not telling her, but, I told her, and then it lingered for a year. And she could have easily turned around and said, XYZ didn't happen in the business.
Yeah.
So Will, you're out. Mm-hmm. And that's happened with us before. Because like I said, it's not all about money. And with Taeler, she had the maturity and the foresight to say, you know what, I can also call a spade. I death gripped, white knuckled this person for too long, and now I put myself in this situation, and it's going to take me an equal time in opposite direction to recover. And luckily it didn't, right? But a lot of our decisions, we have to give ourselves enough intellectual honesty to say, I made this mistake, and it's going to take me X period of time to unwind that mistake. I'm willing to fix it, and I'm going to go in that direction. And so, shit takes longer than you think.
Because like you said, and you phrased it really well when we did our very first podcast forever ago, but the headline of that year was not Taeler's revenue. It was literally my leadership, right? Which again grows every year, but I bring that up because I've been with you for 4 years very soon. And we are so past the point of revenue. Granted, I love to see revenue PRs, and I just celebrated one with you 2 days ago. But I know now, it's the maturity in which I work with Will has totally changed, because previously I would only celebrate, yay, we made more, yay, big wins. And now I'm like, hey, I fucking love my clients. They're killing it. This is a great group. Everyone is so engaged, right? Or, wow, we have more graduates in the 4%. FCA is crushing, curriculum's hitting. It's just different. And I know now that it's such a trickle-down effect, because what I mentioned about those 2 mistakes earlier, because of those 2 mistakes, my revenue didn't really grow, because I had lawsuits that year. I had never had them before. There were so many challenges. My reputation was at stake. I mean, I was scared. I have never been so scared. And I called you,
Yeah.
Crying, because I thought that, oh my God, I was, even thinking about this now, I have a visceral reaction. Because
That's literally trauma. Business trauma.
No, literally. I mean, I wish I could explain to you all how terrified I was, and I had to show up and coach my clients wondering, does anyone else know this is going on? Because if they are doing this, who else knows? And I just had to assume and just keep it so kosher with everyone, because I was so afraid that I was being recorded or screenshots, and I couldn't trust what was happening in my own clients that I had poured so much love into, and I was really taking it personally, and so to me, it all stemmed from me not following my vision, right? And then bringing someone new in with a new perspective. And I didn't disrespect that at all, but you were change everything tomorrow. And I was like, okay, well, hold on. There's not stable ground. I don't know if I can change things while I'm already not on stable ground. And that's something that I really applaud you on working with me for, is I'm constantly kind of making sure I'm not falling over. There's really not stable. I mean, you know what I mean? The business is stable, but I'm always really uncomfortable right now. I'm very uncomfortable.
Yeah, as soon as a leg gets stable, I make sure I run up and kick it out from under her, just
Literally,
so that she kind of really makes sure.
Yes.
Primarily because of the vision, the size of the vision, right? I can't let Taeler like sit there and do stupid shit, because if she wants to grow to the level that she has for her vision, not just monetarily, but like, she wants to be able to help the most amount of people possible. Well, that means you've got to grow up and be that person, that leader, that capable person. And it's incredibly easy to get an ego about what you think you're capable of. We've all done it. Frankly, I think it's healthy as an entrepreneur sometimes. You got to have a little ego, because otherwise you get too scared to act. And so ego is okay. But go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, Angie, what's up?
So you've obviously built 2 incredible programs with the most fantastic people.
Thank you, I love you.
So what was the biggest shift that you had to make to ensure the quality
Yeah.
of those 2
Yeah.
programs?
So
Cut off the can.
yeah, when I was accepting clients, I mean, I'll be very transparent with you, because you've been here for a long time. So you two have seen a lot of this. Lindsay, you've seen a lot of this. Unfortunately, like, us 3 have developed great relationships. I'm sure all of you know exactly what I'm talking about and remember this weird 2023 era. And you two said something to me last year specifically. You came up to me after the event and you said, "This is the first year that I really feel like it's not Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Like, there's no clicks, Taeler. This is amazing." And I said, "Yeah, I never wanted that, but thank you guys." Right? Okay. So it's really more of the time spent up front with clients, because before, the barrier to entry 4% was, "Can you pay me? And if you can pay me, let's hop in." That's it. Can you pay me? Do you have the money, and can you pay me? I don't care, because that's what I was taught. I'm really psychopathic with goals. What I mean by that is, if Will were to hypothetically, this is not how you coach at all, but if he were like, hit this target in 30 days, I'd be like, all right, bet. I'm going after it. But that's not how I think anymore, right? And that's kind of the maturity as I've grown. Is my first mentor was like, "I want you to hit 100K in November." I was making 30K. I was making 30K in March. She said, "I want you to have your first 100K month in November." I said, "Bet, say less." And I did it. Because I sold 44 people into a program that wasn't really how I wanted it to be. And because I was just selling people that could pay me and not people that truly belong there, that's why when I tell you all in 4%, if I pull you aside and say, like, "I think you would be awesome in 4%, it's because I want to invest my time into you, and there's a reason I cap it, because it is me. And so that to me is the biggest difference. Now, do some people surprise me? Well, yeah, I mean, you don't know everything up front, but like in general, I'm so picky now with who I want to continue working with at that level. And I'm just talking about 4%, right? I'm not talking about FCA right now, but yeah.
I would say too, if one of the big differences is like, it's really, really easy to just bulldoze into 100K a month. Enough action, and you're good. It's that easy. But you're going to burn everything around you down.
Yep.
And so with Taeler, like one of the things that we talked about was, listen, if you don't hit this unit goal or you don't hit this goal, it's just the same goal next month. And then when you look at the year in hindsight, you're going to see all the months that you delayed decision making and how much your goal just sat and it moved to the next month and the next month. So you have that 3 lines that are flat. And the reason they're flat is because of indecision, because of something that wasn't fixed in the business. That exercise that we took you guys through is a real exercise that Taeler and I do. We have to go through the biggest problems in her business, and she continues to go and rotate through those big problems. And that's how you ultimately create systemic growth. And the same thing that, I mean, a lot of times, like, there's a lot of effort put into the lessons that I'm teaching Taeler and how those can be applied to the challenges that you guys are facing. So, this is not stuff that like she's built. She has built a ton of stuff, but this is like stuff that has helped her get to the level that she's at. And she's turning around and giving a lot of that to you. And she's pouring her time into you from a 4P perspective.
Taeler, can I ask a question? With that, like Angie or whoever said, we feel like this is the first year where it's not like Mean Girls or firing someone. You said for a year fire. Me and you came across that earlier this year where it was like the first OBM. Hey, Nick, she was great, but now get her out. Where, in business specifically, where is that line team or team members, they're going through a hard time, they made some mistakes, in the line of like, hey, you've got to give them grace to grow and this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
versus like, oh, I'm just tolerating
Sure.
this crap now. The hire fast, fire faster concept, how do you
Sure.
balance that and whatnot?
I think, that's really nuanced the way I'd want to answer it, but I mean, in the case in which I'm referring to, it was like deliberate sabotage. None of it was like mistakes that I had forgiven. I was being taken advantage of 100%. But, when I would giving you advice today, it's more of like, okay, we did our due diligence on the hiring front. You continue to grow like we predicted, right? And you started to notice mistakes. And you addressed those mistakes, and that person said, pay me more money and we'll bring in another VA. And I said, I don't really like that answer, right? They weren't like taking ownership of the mistakes. They just wanted more money, right? Does that make sense? And so to me, if, Q and I are very open with like, I don't want to say she's like brain dumping and like, trauma dumping, but it's like, if I notice a shift with her, I can tell so fast, and I'll be like, hey, like, is everything okay? I'm just checking in. And I usually can tell if I've sent her multiple things and she hasn't responded to me, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to blow her up, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm like, hey, everything okay? Let me know how I can support you. And she's like, yeah, just having a tough week. Cool, understood. And then I know in those moments to give Q maybe a little more grace, and maybe it requires dialogue or maybe it doesn't, but I think that's just honestly investing time into your team members. Kind of like I've told you, if you hire a team member from another country, right? Like understanding certain cultural differences. And so I really think it just comes with time and understanding, communication styles, leadership styles, all of that. So, I know you want to add something to that.
Yeah, do you want to know how a green makes a decision to get a tattoo?
Sure.
All right, so first you decide on the tattoo, okay? Then you wait 90 days just to make sure you're not going to regret it,
Yeah.
okay? Then you build a spreadsheet of all the tattoo artists in the Atlanta metro area, all right? You get quotes
That's how
and
I
you
do
get
things.
references,
That's me,
and then
100%.
you build an AI machine to go and cross-reference all the images to make sure that you've got the right artist and the right availability that fits in your schedule, okay? In a hypothetical scenario, let's say somebody did that. There was a lot of prep work that went into that tattoo, okay? Then the tattoo day comes and the tattoo itself doesn't take very long. And that's the same thing with staffing. Most of you are like, I'm tired of doing this thing, I'm gonna go hire. And you make a hiring decision probably in a couple days, right? Is that fair? How long did it take to find your VA? 2 weeks?
The OBM we have now, probably about a month.
Month?
Yeah,
Yeah, the first OBM, how long did it take?
probably longer because I was delaying that crap, but
Yeah.
Not your procrastination, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like the actual process itself to hire the person.
yeah, no, I wouldn't say any more than 2 or so weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
So you went from 2 weeks to a month because you had a better process.
yeah.
So when you're hiring somebody, tactically speaking, one of the things that you want to think about is the prep work up front. So if you take it like somebody might take getting a tattoo, then you would start 90 days ahead of where you want to hire, and you would build a plan. So you would build out what does their day-to-day role look like, what does their weekly role and responsibilities look like, what does their monthly roles and responsibility look like, what does their quarterly roles and responsibility look like, how much can they make, and how much more can they make if they did an excellent job. Then after you know that profile, then you want to look at what time zone do they need to be working in, are they in person or not, and then after that you go to the recruiting stage. After you have gone through recruiting, you need a minimum of 3 people to interview, otherwise you really haven't talked to enough people to even know if they are qualified or not, because you're not the expert in that space unless you are, in which case it's a different situation. Your ACs, a lot of times people tell me how great their ACs are, and that's because you were a coach.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You would have a better quality hire there because you've been in that role. Those of you that came from sales originally are going to have a way easier time building a sales team than other people, right? But once they're in the organization, after you go through an interview process, I highly recommend personality test them. Make sure they're not just like you. If you hate setting and you do the personality test and their personality looks just like yours, don't you think they might also hate setting? I don't know. It's just a guess. So then after they're in your organization, they're on 90 days of probation. Whether they're a Filipino VA or they're a high-powered executive, 90 days probation. And they have to earn it. If they don't hit their KPIs and they don't hit the expectations that you've set out for them, because remember, you spent 90 days planning for the role. Now that you've got 90 days of planning, now you have 90 days of execution, and that's them executing. And if they don't work out, then they got to go. But you've got the first 30 days, you'll know. And if they get past the first 30 days, then you're okay. Then you get to 90 and they're off probation. After 90 days, then everything is about your leadership and your prep work that was the mistake, right? Because you can be bad at hiring because you don't have experience hiring, that's okay. But if you let them go past 90 days, it was your failure. Not to mention, after 90 days, you deserve, and they deserve, for you to do what's called a performance improvement plan. So if both parties can't agree on what that's supposed to look like, then you need to sit them down and coach them through, hey, this is what I see as your performance today. What do you think about that? Okay, great. What do we want to do here? What do we want to do from here? Over the next 30 days, we're going to be on a performance improvement plan. If the performance doesn't improve, unfortunately, I'm going to have to move in a different direction because the business has to keep going and it has to keep growing. Taeler knows this for fact. I have said, I've gotten on a phone call and said, today's your last day. I've already kicked you out of all the applications and handled all your transition paperwork so that you don't have to worry about it. But don't worry, I'm going to take care of your pay. I'm going to give you severance pay. You're not going to have to worry about it. I just want you to focus on finding a new job because you don't have a job here anymore. But you do have security. Your family's going to be fine because you have benefits. You have all these things. You have all this money that I'm going to give you right now so that you can free up your future and you can go find you a new job that's a better fit. I don't always do it that way, but I've done it that way a lot. Because I can't waste any time. Like, if you don't want it, I don't want it either. Get out.
Yeah, that's good.
Is that helpful? I just want to give some tactical. I know she gave some like bigger picture, but.
Yeah. Okay, well, shout out to the client who submitted this one. What's the most annoying thing about me and the most fun thing about working with me?
Most annoying. Taeler loves to text me or call me or voice memo me with some shit that she's got going on, and she'll be like, so-and-so, this that happened. And then at the very end, every single time without fail, she'll go, but I'm not that worried about it. Right. Taeler, because you're not that worried about it, how would you like me to respond? Should I be not that worried about it or a little bit more? And so that's probably the most annoying. I say it tongue-in-cheek because really Taeler like doesn't do a lot of things that are annoying to me. But that's one of them that's just kind of hilariously annoying. And then what's my favorite thing? I think that she's absolutely relentless. I don't know of a single year where she hasn't texted me and said, closed a deal on Christmas.
Every year.
I'll see, if you didn't have your phone out, then I wouldn't have to worry about drawing attention to it. Every year she calls me, hey, just want to let you know, the Christmas streak is alive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is getting on a phone with you on Christmas? Closing, like they're like thinking about their business, and they're like, who, you know what? Did anybody in here close on Christmas Day? Okay, I want to see one of those Christmas people make it.
No.
No?
Well, not here, no.
No, okay. Well, they didn't make it. See, so maybe she shouldn't close on Christmas because that'd be cool to see them here. But I mean, she does not quit. There is she sometimes is a little bit slow on the uptick of some of the coaching, but I don't think that's her fault. I think that's my fault. Sometimes I don't communicate as well as I could. But I think that she is so coachable, and sometimes too coachable. It's like, hey, listen, I want you to have more of an opinion here. And I think that she does an incredible job, very, very thoughtful around her team. She's very defensive of her team, very defensive of her clients. I'm pretty pessimistic, primarily for speed. So I'll frequently tell her my opinion, and it'll be fairly pessimistic, and then she'll take a bet on it more optimistically. And and so both of us are right sometimes.
Cool, your turn.
Oh.
I know you too well, and I see the face.
So I've been watching the show on Netflix,
Oh, yeah.
and I was curious, am I going to see you on it?
I really wish that could be the announcement today. Unfortunately, it's not. And I don't know the full process, to be honest, because I haven't gotten we didn't select you, but from my understanding, if you weren't here last year, I announced that I was applying for Love is Blind.
Where's the audition video?
Oh, I could have brought that. So the hardest thing was it could only be 15 seconds. So it was like,
It's an ad.
I mean, it was so short. I don't even, yeah, exactly. So I submitted it.
Well, what did you wear?
Based on the most recent season, I think you have to trauma dump the whole 15 seconds.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys watch the show, but the new season has me a little like nervous. But they were casting in Cleveland, and to my understanding, they still haven't selected that. So I wish I had better news for you.
All good. Let's see. You know, you've answered a good number of questions I have here, but I do want to know, what is your Q4 end goal for next year? What's your theater of the mind in December next year?
Erica's texting me, telling me I don't need to be on Love is Blind, with exclamation marks in all caps. I agree with you. It's fine. I'm not worried about that. Nothing's happened. You know, it just seems like I'll have to use your address if I get picked anyway, because I'm not in Cleveland anymore.
However, there is a growing reward for anyone that wants to play matchmaker.
Oh
for
yeah,
Taeler.
so this is what Will said last year, is if any of you match me up with someone who becomes my husband, he will coach you for free for a month.
Yeah, and I'm extending that to a quarter now. So we've
It's going up.
We've 3x the.
It's going up.
We've 3x the stakes.
And no one gave me anyone last year.
You have the brothers and cousins.
That's because they're like, Will. That's because they're like, oh, we don't want coaching from that guy.
Yeah, Will's terrifying. Will's fucking crazy.
Or $10,000. How about that? No, let's just make it more fun.
Okay.
Or
got
well,
it.
you know what? Hey, we could contribute to 4P. I will contribute to 4P. Is that
All
better?
right, yeah,
Is that better?
let's do that. Let's
That way
bring
you don't
you
have to get
as a
coached by
guest
me. You can get coached by Taeler.
Sick. Okay, Q4, man. Trying to think of like one thing. I'm gonna go the FCA route for this one before I go personal, but I want to be closing 40 deals a month in FCA and have 5 rockstar account managers, 2 of which I have poached from other coaching companies. And I mean, fuck it, whatever. Let's get crazy. And I want to improve graduation rate further, you know, because it's been so fun working with you on. At first, it was like the curriculum a few years ago, right? And then it became the team side of things, and then it became the activation points and better tracking and success. And I've just seen how much we've grown that program, and how the people that are coming into 4% with the knowledge of FCA are succeeding faster because they have mastered level 1 and 2, even if they think they haven't. And because if you come into 4%, you're like, what do I binge in FCA first? And I'm like, all right, binge this. But no, transparently, I really do believe we've got some rock stars on the sales team, and it really is about dialing that up. On a personal level, I would like to take 2 weeks off and truly unplug, which I haven't done before.
For just Q4? You've never taken 2 weeks off for just Q4? I'm just clarifying.
I've never taken 2 full weeks off in the business. No.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's really not a matter of if I could. I really do believe I absolutely could do that.
Yeah.
Like, Q's got to unlock. We've closed, I mean, my team will handle it, but it's really more of a obsession that I have. Like, I love what I do. I really do. Like, I love it. And so Will challenged me. I didn't really succeed. 50% success rate. Hey. Just kidding. She
1
knows.
week per quarter.
I was challenged, yeah, in 2023, you said, hey, going into 2024, you're going to take 1 week off per quarter. And I did it the first quarter. And I did it. Yeah, I did it the first quarter. In the second quarter, I feel like I maybe thought about doing it, and I don't think I did.
Yeah. Well,
I think what happened, no. I had an intensive with you, and then.
doesn't count.
No, I'm telling you why it didn't work. This is when I told you we can't do this.
Oh, yeah. We tried that. Yeah.
So basically, he
kinda
was
my
like,
fault.
no, 100%, thank you. So I do quarterly intensives with Will, okay? And you guys probably know that. So anyway, I flew to Atlanta for an intensive with the intent of taking the next week off, but I was so hyped the fuck up after the intensive. I was like, I don't want to wait 7 days to implement. So I was like, Will, we're not doing it this way.
Oh, that's right.
You remember? Yeah, I was like, I need a vacation and then go to Atlanta or something. So anyway, I'm blaming you on that one. It's fine. It is what it is. But in theory, it's not about a matter of if I could. That is something that I want to do for myself. I don't know where I want to go or what that looks like, but
He told her
yeah.
Wade to take a vacation after.
Yeah.
Okay, in fairness, she was supposed to go innovate for a week because that is relaxing.
It is. I really
But-
do love that. Yeah.
But she did not.
To me, the vacation isn't about not working necessarily. It's about not doing client delivery or talking to my team. It's really about like, I don't know if you guys, and maybe this is why you see me do coffee shop Saturdays, right? It's like, I just know that no one needs me and my brain is so clear, and doing a few hours before the sun is up like doesn't stress me out. It makes me excited, and then I can just like kind of couch rot and I feel happy about it. So, but yeah, I want to take 2 weeks off like for fun, not necessarily innovation. Will I maybe innovate? Maybe, but yeah. Anything else? Nothing personal? Nothing crazy?
Nothing crazy.
Okay, cool. Anything you guys needed to know and didn't? Tea on Taylor?
I did not know that you don't take 2 weeks off because you commanded me this month to take 2 weeks off. So.
Because your health was declining.
Oh, that's not what. Come on. You said you just launched a course. I want you to go take 2 weeks off. You need to go take 2 weeks off.
I appreciate it. Would you guys be okay if I took 2 weeks off? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Scott, what's up?
What's your time?
I'm sorry, what? Oh, let me hug you. Let me say bye to you. You're like, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to hug you. Bye.
I will.
Okay, no other tea on Taylor? We're good?
No, I'm gonna know your type.
Oh.
What is my type
Yeah, if I'm gonna find the
for a partner?
I'm gonna do it.
Is there a type that?
Black chains, hanging on the legs, emo.
No one
You guys
asked
ever seen that reel that's like, by the time the criteria is inserted, there's like 100 men in the United States that fit the criteria? Hope you got a big network, I'm not even being insulting. I'm just.
She needs a rock star.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
No,
Rock
literal.
star.
A literal rock star. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Spiky hair.
Oh,
They have to love music.
Own a couple businesses.
They've got the thorn necklaces that you put on a pit bull.
You deal with a self-sufficient woman.
Oh shoot, dude.
They embrace her business, know that she's a businesswoman.
I will say, if you lined up every man that I've ever dated, like physically, they do not look the same.
There's typically like bars in the background.
What?
I'm just kidding. It was
You've
just an
never seen my
opportunity. It
exes.
was an opportunity,
Okay.
okay?
It was an opportunity. I took it.
I took it.
So I don't know. I don't think I have a type. Like I feel like intellectual stimulation is number one. You know what I mean? Attraction grows, but if I'm not like intellectually stimulated, you'll go from a 6 to a 10 real fast if I'm just like, ooh, this competition's great,
Bigger than 16-inch biceps.
I didn't know where that was going.
That's not even a trend either.
All right.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't go down that rabbit hole. Thanks.
I mean, I kept it as
I
PG as I
appreciate
could.
I kept it as PG as I could. All right, guys, any last minute questions? It's okay. You can ask anyone. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Tea on Taylor. I don't know what your face is.
I'll ask for a question.
Go.
So I was talking with Taylor a little bit about this earlier. Somebody earlier had said, one of my goals for this next year, whatever, was I want to be financially stable. And for me, being a mentor to coaches, I hear that a lot. And some of them say, yeah, I want to have 10K months, I want to have 20K months. And there's this kind of like thought process that you need X to be stable or whatever. And I told somebody, I said, look, I do make a lot more than 10K, but 10K, like if I got that personally, that's a lot of freaking money. Like it is a lot of money. And if you can't be stable with that, there's probably a problem. So how do you, what would you define as that, like to be stable? And then the more that you're growing, some people say if I make 10K, I'll be good, but then they make it and then they raise their expenses to 10K. And and
Yeah.
they're just as stressed as they were at
Luxury
2 grand.
limits.
So, and they're honestly, being totally transparent, the reason I brought this up is because I say this from a total respect thing. I really value it. Your shoes are dirty, and you're wearing
He
very.
lost him like.
Get him out of here!
He
No,
lost him.
no, seriously.
If I had 16-inch biceps,
No, listen. You're wearing very like somebody would come and make fun of, but yet
Sure.
you're extremely successful. And I value the crap out of that because I wear shorts and a t-shirt every day. I don't think it's nice. So that's why I felt like for you, this would be a good question to answer because I feel like you've probably mastered that concept and can share a lot of insight on that. So don't
Absolutely.
take what I said to be offensive.
I know.
have no problem with the shoes.
yeah, I know. So.
I am red.
How about here? I'll try to answer this question holistically, but there's two things I'll say first. First off, would it be helpful if I walk through kind of the financial landscape? Would that be of value to anyone here?
Yeah.
Beyond him? Because I can answer that privately, or I can answer it publicly. Okay. The second thing I'll say is I am not a financial professional. I'm not here to give financial advice. This is what I have found to work. Okay? I want to be very, very clear about that because I do not want to sit here and tell you invest in this or blah, blah, blah. Okay? But I do want to give some perspective. So $10,000 a month is not when I would define the cutoff. Because it's so nuanced. If you have a family, if you don't have a family, that's a very different expense bracket. If your kids are older, if your kids are younger, that's a very different expense bracket. And so, for me, I don't, I wear dirty shoes. But I don't wear some crazy watches. I don't drive some crazy cars. I don't have as nice of a house as I could. And part of the reason is strategic, but part of the reason is because of how I grew up. And so I think that no matter how much money you have, it doesn't change your character. It only magnifies it. And most of the time it magnifies it for the worse. So the more that I communicate about money, the more judgment I receive, the more criticism I receive. And it's not because they got to know me, it's not because of anything else, it's because of they ultimately decided that I'm something different than what they relate to. And ultimately, I'm just a person willing to take bigger risks, and I've had the opportunity to take bigger risks, and I took them. So when it comes to financials, again, this is not financial advice. I can't preface that enough. Financial security doesn't come from a number. It comes from a strategy. And the strategy is to whatever your expenses are. Okay, it doesn't matter the number. Your expenses literally could be $100,000 a month. It doesn't matter. But whatever they are, you need to have 3 months minimum in the bank. If you're an entrepreneur, you should climb to 6 if you can. But you should have an emergency fund that is at least 3 months in the bank of expenses. Because your decision making can't be exactly from a fear place when you have 3 months of security in the bank. As an entrepreneur, if you have 6 months of opportunity in the bank, how much could you change in your business or your life? Could you go find a job if you had to in 6 months? Probably, right? So it gives you the de-risked nature to make better decisions when you have 3 to 6 months of money in the bank. When you have a business, do the same thing. The business has expenses that are unrelated to your personal life. You should also have 3 to 6 months in savings there, okay? The other thing is that as entrepreneurs, you have all kinds of tax advantages, but I'm not talking about the TikTok tax advantages where you go buy a G-Wagon and you write it off, because ultimately that G-Wagon, the average G-Wagon is, I think it's something like $163,000. And if you were to put 20% down and write off the whole thing and you're in 30% tax bracket, by the time it's all said and done, you've effectively deployed $20,000 or $30,000 that you didn't need to buy a car that you don't need, only to which it has terrible trunk space. I mean, it's really not a very practical car. All of that to say that after you have the car, it doesn't depreciate that bad, so that's fine. But then the $100,000 that you have tied up in that car, if that were to be invested, then you would be able to have the financial security that you wanted, but instead you're too busy with the car payment. right? So I always have a rule that toys aren't bought with debt, and a car is a toy. You could walk. You wouldn't like it, but you could do it. Instagram made you think you needed that car. Nobody else. You thought you deserved the car, and that's why you got it. But really, that's just your ego. That has nothing to do with you needing a Range Rover. Nobody needs a Range Rover, and frankly, that thing's going to be in the shop forever. So the next piece after you have your security covered is how you manage your home. If you cannot afford to repair the home, then you cannot afford to live in the home, and you should rent. There's no shame in renting. Most people don't realize that renting is a fixed fee, and it will go up every year. It'll go up about 10% a year, and you can pretty much bank on it. If you buy something, then you will have unexpected maintenance, and that unexpected maintenance is variable. So you don't know if it's going to happen that way or not. If you live in a rural area, buying is pretty easy to do because the cost of real estate is pretty cheap. If you're in Atlanta, like I am, it's not so much. If you're in Nashville, if you're in a big city, LA, it's a terrible thing to buy. In fact, I would pretty much highly recommend that you rent. Beyond that, I can't recommend anything because I'm not a financial analyst. Anyways, so the next thing is if you have kids or you have a loved one. If you have a loved one and they rely on your income, then you should be thinking about some sort of vehicle for life insurance. This whole infinite banking bullshit, unless you make $1 million a year, stop worrying about infinite banking. If you guys have heard of that concept of infinite banking, you have to put so much of your capital into it for it to actually be advantageous. And so I can just demystify that. I'm not a sales insurance broker, so I don't give a shit. Get term, and by the time you get to term, hopefully your investments have paid enough money to where you don't have to worry about the life insurance policy going to expiration. So I'm gonna I got a couple more things and then, or no?
I'm going to cut you off.
Okay.
Unless you want to wrap. Just because I have a recurring question with a lot of these people. But go ahead if you want to wrap the investment talk.
Kids. It really just comes down to kids for me. A college fund is a maximum contribution of $4,000 a year. If you do that when they are born, then they will not worry about anything related to education, period. If you do a custodial IRA and you put $100 a month until they're 18 and never contribute another dollar, then they'll have $4 million when they retire. So no matter what you are, what you grew up with, you don't have to have that perpetuate for any future generation after that if you can afford to sacrifice $100. And so that's why I say to everyone, don't worry about $10,000 a month. Worry about, can I afford $100 towards my child who has the best opportunity for compounded interest in their lifetime? You might already be spent. You might already be way past the age where retirement is going to be a huge impact for you. And so set it up for the next generation, because by the time they're there, they're going to have so much money to manage. And you don't have to tell them about it. That's your prerogative. But you can do very, very small things that have a massive impact if you just have the discipline to avoid some basic material shit.
So I want to wrap with just creating balance. I know. Yes. And cue.
This is not financial advice.
Disclaimer. So quite a few of you asked me about navigating guilt while having a family or a spouse, partner, etc. And I want to know how you've done that as you've grown your family.
Yeah.
Because I know you've made mistakes in that regard too. And so how can we keep scaling but then also be present and not have that guilt?
Yeah. It's a hard question to answer because I don't feel like I have it figured out. So I'll kind of talk about like my thought process. So when we were pregnant with my oldest son, he's 2 now, we actually had a miscarriage before my son Oliver was born. And that miscarriage was an accident. But the emotional toll that it took on us was I didn't want my wife to be fearful of childbirth or of the process of being pregnant. She has always wanted kids. I always wanted kids. And when that happened and we had that miscarriage, I immediately knew that the best thing that we could do was get on the bike and ride again. I mean, I like sex, but anyways, like I knew that the bigger picture here was that we could try to have another kid right after the miscarriage. And so we had my son Oliver, and while we were pregnant, it happened right after we got married. The first pregnancy was our honeymoon, and then less than a month later, we were pregnant with Oliver. And then we sat down and we talked about kind of what this goes back to, I mean, started in a trailer park. Okay, if you see my wife, you'll know why I couldn't wait. And so, anyways, my point is that the guilt piece, like, I am a lot of a red and I'm a lot of a green, and so the way that I create stability is through green, and the way that I create success is through red. And so for me, I had to sit down with my wife, who's very much a guilt. I mean, literally, Sarah, she's just like you. It's amazing. So I sat her down and I said, listen, we don't have to worry about the means in our family, but we will have to worry about the time and my contribution towards our children. And we strategically read a lot of books, and we kind of figured out, okay, before they're 5 years old, there is an impact, but it's less critical of an impact than if they were older than 5 years old. And I can't sit here and tell you that I made the right decision, but my wife and I came to terms to say that my time, I will retire when my son's 5. Like, that's kind of, and I say...
Thanks for the heads up.
No, I mean, I say...
All right.
I say retire, but like, I will retire the pace that I operate from today. That scares me a little bit, because that seems crazy, because like 3 more years goes by really fast. But I guess my perspective on it is like, this year, coming into the next year, one of the businesses that I'm a larger contributor in, I'm stepping away from entirely, and it's going to run on its own without me for a year. So it's kind of like an extended vacation. I won't be vacationing, but we're basically trialing to see, hey, how well is this business going to perform if I pull my contribution out of it? Did I build the right team? Did I do the right things? And I'm doing that systematically across the portfolio of businesses, so that by the time 3 years from now, the only thing that I'll do is consulting and speaking, and that way I can kind of pick and choose. Taeler doesn't make me fly to Dallas, so I can be there present with my children and still have conversations with clients. I just won't be actively like touring manufacturing facilities and trying to figure out how to fix a cotton gin and like all this other random crap that I deal with. I just won't deal with that. In the meantime, I shower my wife with lots and lots of love, because I am really hard to be married to. I wake up in the morning hungry for more, and I go to bed hungry for more, and so that's a big machine, and she gives me enough grace to let me do what I love to do. But the guilt piece, I don't know if any of this is helpful, by the way, but I'm trying, because again, it's very new to me too. The guilt piece is real. I got here and I missed my son. Missed him last night. Missed him now. I miss my other son. He's a potato, and but yeah. I mean, I think you manage it. You don't eliminate it. I'm not cold. I'm not an animal or a robot. And so for me, like I still think it's a huge deal. My wife doesn't work. We made that decision. She had a really successful career, and we made the decision after the second child that she wasn't going to work anymore. And ultimately, if she said next week, hey, I want to go back to work, we would adapt again, and we would figure it out. Ultimately, life's about choice, and so I think for us, that was the choice that we decided to make. But the guilt's real. It's just a matter of like, how are you showing up in the moments that you're with your children? Because that's what they're going to remember. If you are compressing your time, like my phone isn't even on my body when I'm with my son. And even when I'm with my wife, I would say there's definitely times where I'm on my phone, but I'm really, really careful about how much phone time I have, because I'm working long hours. I get up before anybody else. I mean, I'm out of the house by 5 o'clock or 5:30. I'm back at 6, so, and then I'm working again from 9 to midnight. So, that is not a sustainable lifestyle, but I've got 3 more years of it, and then I'm good.
Thank you.
Does that help anybody? I don't know. Is there something more specific around that I can answer?
Well, I think the hardest part is like, people ask for like, what is the solution to balance or, happiness? And you hit on it. It's like, it's really like a constant seesaw, you know what I mean? And you're kind of gonna go too far one way and fuck it up a little bit. But like you said, you've always made Allie feel like you care, and like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like the way you answer this question this year is different than last year, and differently, like, you're still growing and figuring it out. Like, it's not like you have figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I still live with an immense amount of fear, insecurity. I still, some of the businesses that we work in, I don't feel qualified to work in. Some of the conversations I'm in, I don't feel qualified to be in. And I think that maybe you get better at like faking it in those situations. Maybe you don't. But mostly I just realize that everybody's human and we're all trying to do the best we can. And as long as you're ethically operating the best you know how, then like if you fail or somebody hates you or if somebody, if somebody sues you, like, that's not really that's not in your control. You operated with the best like faith and the best opportunity and the best communication you knew how in that moment, and you just improved the next day.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me and sharing
Thanks
my
for having me.
tea.
Yeah.